there's an arrogance when it comes to what's possible with training. And if anyone's seen the program that's on at the moment, it's called The Piano. They invite people who can play the piano to play in one of these public spaces. So each week it's in a different one, all sorts of people. And there's always a story along with it. So who the people are, their background, they're not all professional. What they don't know is that behind the curtains in a secret space are watching via camera. And then what they do is once everyone's played, they get them all together and they select one to appear in a future event, to play live in a show. But there was a girl in the one this week who was born with a condition that essentially made her completely blind, but that had knock-on effects that meant that she had autism. So she's totally non-verbal, so she can't see, can't speak. She started playing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on a keyboard in the hospital, and they were like, that was a recording. And they're like, no, that was her playing. They were like, but that's not possible. I'm like, she just did it. So she can hear, she can't speak, and she can't see. So they got her a keyboard. They then got in touch with this Amber Trust, this guy that teaches. He found a way to show her by, he plays the piece of music, she puts her hands on top of his, and she learns to play like that. Honestly, it was unbelievable. Everyone was just gobsmacked. Now, put that in another scenario and they'd probably say there's no way you could learn to play a musical instrument like that using those techniques, because we just don't think it's possible. And most people around were like, I don't know how that is possible. But it just shows you, doesn't it? So there was no way of understanding the level of learning until she showed it through music. It's unbelievable. And I said to my husband, I said, there's an arrogance about what's possible in learning, and that we don't know the half of it. We don't know the half of it. I do think we're onto something with game-based training. I think it can be made into something pretty amazing. I really do. If you don't know anything about game-based training, you'd like to learn a bit more about how it works, those little slides that I had on the screen share are part of my free training on geniuscanine.com. How we learn and how we can learn together with our dogs. It's an unknown. It's not a fixed thing. I think we know what we know at the moment, but I don't think we know anything like what is really possible. I genuinely don't. Well, there's an awful lot of dog trainers. We can all learn from absolutely everyone. We don't know it all. I don't think sticking in the past just because what people are popularizing in the present means that if you don't like that, the thing to do is stay in the past. The thing to do is push through that, pick up some learning and make it better. I genuinely do think that. I do think that the way to make learning and making things better, you learn things by accident. Some of the most special things that have ever been discovered in the world have been found by accident, so unless you try stuff and then you put your own twist on it and you think, actually, I see it from this perspective. The way I see game-based training, I was introduced to it probably Susan Garrett, but there was a couple of 2 to 3 trainers I was following at the time that had a similar kind of approach, but from very different backgrounds. But the notion of having a game-based approach was like, bing to me, but I didn't see it the same way as those people saw it. I saw it from my own perspective, and then I saw it in a completely different way. I don't think by any means what I do is like totally perfect, but I do think there's a lot of strength in what we're doing basically. And I think going back to how we can make dog training feel effortless, I think game-based training lends itself so well to getting into that flow state, and just in every aspect of it, it's phenomenal. I think there's so much we can learn. I was on a live the other day, we were talking about flow state, and someone said, oh, I'm in education of humans, and it sounds very similar. This is really interesting to me. So it just shows you that we don't just learn from animal behavior, that's part of it, but there's so much to be learned from education, and also from the most unlikely of places. There are other ways that people can learn. And sometimes you've got to look in completely different fields to see what's out there and see what's possible. It's all pretty amazing, I will say that.